Chapter 25, The Shield That Listened. Time skip, charms. Hayley walks into class with Iris, and she breathes in and out to calm her nerves as she walks to her seat, which is next to Iris. "You got this," Iris whispers as they take their seats. Professor Flitwick hops up onto his stack of books, clapping his hands. "Today, class, we will be learning a basic defensive charm, the Aegis charms. It creates a small magical barrier. Not strong enough to stop curses, of course, but perfect for deflecting light objects and minor spell effects." He flicks his wand, and a shimmering oval of light appears briefly in front of him before fading. A simple incantation, Aegis. The class lifts their wands. Hayley hesitates before raising hers. Iris leans slightly closer, their shoulders brushing, slow and steady. "Aegis," she whispers. A thin, translucent shield forms in front of her, but instead of hovering still like everyone else's, it ripples like the surface of water. A soft glow spreads through it. The air around Hayley shifts, warm and charged. The shield widens, curves, wraps. It doesn't just sit in front of her. It gently surrounds her desk in a protective arc, humming softly like it's alive. Several students gasp. Hayley stares, heart pounding. "I didn't mean." Iris reaches out, touching Hayley's wrist. "Hey, look at me," she whispers. "Breathe." Hayley does, clinging to Iris's voice like a lifeline. The glowing barrier slowly shrinks back into the small, ordinary shield it was meant to be, before fading completely. The room is silent. Professor Flitwick blinks rapidly. Well, that was remarkably advanced magical shaping for a second year. Hayley's cheeks burn. "Am I in trouble?" "Quite the opposite," Flitwick says gently, though his eyes flicked towards the classroom door with concern. "But we may want to keep a closer eye on that magic on yours." Time skip, dinner hall. By dinner time, the word has spread. Flitwick explains how Hayley's shield charm didn't just form, it adapted. Sprout mentions how plants lean toward Hayley in herbology. Hooch nots that wind currents shift around her during flying lessons. But what stands out most? "Her friend," Flitwick says softly. "They stabilize her. Evans, Potter, Lupin, Black, even young Regulus. They instinctively ground her when her magic spikes." McGonagall folds her hands. "That may be the most important magic of all." Time skip, Gryffindor common room. The Gryffindor common room glows softly with firelight and floating embers. James and Sirius are sprawled near the hearth arguing about Quidditch, voices rising and falling in familiar chaos. Remus reads quietly on the sofa, while Peter dozes with a half-eaten chocolate frog on his chest. Lily and Iris sat together near the windows, whispering over homework. Hayley sits curled up in one of the armchairs, parchment balanced on her knees. Every so often, she glances toward the portrait hole, where earlier she'd seen Sophia lingering just outside with Regulus, neither of them able to come in, but both of them staying anyway, just to make sure she was all right. The thought warms her chest. She dips her quill in ink and begins to write. September 14th, 1972. Gryffindor Tower. Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Dear Mum and Dad, second year has started, and Hogwarts feels bigger and louder than ever. James keeps pretending he's suddenly grown very tall, but I think Sirius might be hexing his shoes when he's not looking. Charms were strange today. We were learning a shielding spell, but when I tried it, my magic did something different. It wrapped around me instead of just staying in front of me. Professor Flitwick said it wasn't dangerous, just unusual, but it made everyone stare. Sometimes it feels like the magic inside me is growing faster than I am, but I'm not alone. Iris sits with me in every class. Lily holds my hand when I get nervous. Remus reminds me to breathe when things feel too loud. Sirius makes me laugh when I want to hide. And even though they're in Slytherin, Sophia and Regulus still watch out for me. They waited outside the common room tonight just to make sure I was okay. It makes Hogwarts feel a little less scary. I promise I'm being careful. I promise I'm safe. I miss you both very much. Love always, Hayley. Chapter 26. Someone to pull me back. Time skip outside. A few weeks later, Hayley was outside with Iris talking until she sees James's walking over. He slowed as he approached, eyes scanning the area out of habit before he sat down with the both of them. His posture was casual, but there was a tension in his shoulders that Hayley recognized immediately. "Will you two be okay without us here?" James asked, glancing between them. His gaze lingered on Hayley a second longer. "Especially because of your powers, Hayley. I know they're haywire at the moment." Hayley didn't answer right away. She looked down at her wand resting in her palm, turning it slowly between her fingers. The magic beneath her skin stirred faintly in response, like it always did lately. Too quick, too sensitive. For a moment, doubt flickered across her face. Then she looked back up at James and nodded. "Yeah," she said quietly. "I have Iris to pull me back when I spiral." Iris smiled at that before wrapping her arms around Hayley without hesitation. "Always." Hayley let herself lean into the hug, closing her eyes for just a second longer than necessary. James watched them, jaw tightening, not with distrust, but with relief he hadn't quite learned how to show yet. He reached out and squeezed Hayley's shoulder gently. "All right," he said, "but if anything feels off, anything, you tell me or Padfoot or Mooney, someone." Hayley smiled up at him, softer this time. "I promise." James stood after a moment, giving Iris a grateful nod before slipping away. He glanced back once more, just to make sure Hayley was still steady before heading off to rejoin his friends. Hayley exhaled slowly, magic settling again beneath her skin, but with Iris besides her, she wasn't alone. Chapter 27. Woven in Gold. Time skip, courtyard, Saturday morning. Mage female. Hayley's POV. Second years weren't allowed to go to Hogsmeade, which Hayley found unfair as she sat on the stone wall near the gates, chin in her hands as she watches the older students file out with scarves, mittens, and loud chatter. Her brother walked ahead with Sirius and Remus, Peter trailing behind them with a bag of coins already jingling. James looked way too happy for someone abandoning his little sister. Hayley narrowed her eyes. "Traitor," she muttered under her breath. Beside her, Iris bumped her shoulder gently. "You look like you're about to hex him." "I might," Hayley replied. "Just a little one, something embarrassing. Purple hair for a week." "Tempting," Iris snorted. James turned back one last time, grinning. He waves dramatically. Hayley crossed her arms, but waved back anyway. "Ready to do stuff like reading in classes?" she asked, trying not to sound disappointed. Iris nodded. "Yeah, library first. If we're stuck here, we might as well beat everyone in charms." Hayley perked up. "Race you." Time skip, library. The library smelled like parchment and dust and old magic. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, lighting up floating specks like tiny stars. They spread books everywhere. Charms, defensive spells. A weird one about protective wands Hayley wasn't supposed to understand yet, but she did. Magic has been strange lately, stronger like it listened too closely. Hayley frowned at a paragraph about binding energy into shape through will. "That's weird," she murmured. "It says you can weave magic without a wand if you..." A sudden crack of light sparked from her fingers, and the air warped, and the pages every book flipped at once. Candles flickered blue. Iris froze. "Hayley." "I didn't mean to." Magic surged like her chest cracked open, and something ancient spilled out. Words slipped from her mouth without thinking. Not Latin, not any spells she knew, just instinct. A soft, glowing thread snapped into existence between the bookshelves. It formed a ting shield, delicate, shimmering gold like woven sunlight. Both girls stared. Iris's voice dropped to a whisper. "Did you just invent another new spell?" Hayley looks over at Iris. "I think I did." The shield flickered, unstable. The air hummed too loud and Hayley's breathing sped up. "I can't stop it." Iris grabbed her hands. "Hey, look at me, not the magic me." Hayley focused as she looks at Iris, her freckles, her steady green eyes, the warmth of her grip. "Breathe with me," Iris said softly. "In, out, you're okay." The glow softened, and the shield dissolved like mist. Silence returned. They both exhaled. "Okay," Iris said finally. "So, 3 things." "Yeah." 1, that was incredible. And 2, you absolutely cannot tell James, unless you want him following you around like an overprotective Kneasel for the rest of your life. Hayley bursts out laughing. "Deal, and what's number 3? Iris looks at her. "You have to tell Professor McGonagall, since she asked you to." Hayley nods. Time skip, Hogsmeade. "Dear." James's POV. James tugged Remus aside near Zonko's. "We need better lies," he muttered. Remus sighed. "James." "No, listen, Hayley's not little anymore. She notices things, Iris too. They're smart. Too smart." Sirius shoved his hands into his coat pockets. "He's right. Your ill only works so many times. Full moon happens like clockwork." Peter nodded nervously. "They'll connect it." Remus looked tired already. That quiet, bracing kind of tired. "Okay," he said softly. "We'll figure something out." James nodded, but his chest felt heavy as this wasn't about just Remus. It was Hayley, his baby sister. Too curious, too brave, too much like him. If she ever found out, if anything ever hurt her, his jaw tightened. He'd burn the whole world down first. Sirius clapped his shoulders. "Oi, stop brooding, you look like Mooney." James forces a grin. "Let's just get their sweets." Remus smiled faintly as they start to walk again, but James glanced toward the castle in the distance. Just for a second, making sure it was still there, making sure she was safe. Time skip, evening, Gryffindor common room. Mage female. Hayley's POV. Firelight, loud firelight. The kind that popped and crackled, while half the house talked over each other. Chess pieces clacked aggressively near the hearth. Someone was laughing too hard, while someone else was yelling about stolen chocolate frogs. The older students had come back from Hogsmeade hours ago, cold-cheeked and loud and smelling like butter beer and sugar. Now the common room was chaos. James and Sirius were sprawled on the rug, by the fire arguing over wizard chess like it was life or death. "That's illegal," Sirius accused. "You just don't understand strategy," James shot back smugly. "You flipped the board." Advanced strategy. Across the table, Remus was pretending to read while secretly smiling at them, and Peter cheered way too loudly every time James won. On one sofa, Lily, Marlene, and Mary were sorting Honeydukes sweets into piles like a trade market. "2 fizzing Whizbees for 1 chocolate frog," Mary declared. "That's robbery," Marlene said. "It's economics," Lily replied calmly. Wrappers littered the table. Someone had already set off a Zonko's sneezing powder bomb. The whole room smelled like caramel and smoke and sugar, which was home for Hayley. Right by the window, tucked into her favorite armchair, Hayley curled her legs under herself with her diary on her knees. Beside her, Iris worked on homework, occasionally glancing up whenever James got too loud. Hayley dipped her quill and starts to write. 17th November, 1973. Gryffindor Tower. Dear Mum and Dad. James went to Hogsmeade this morning and came back like he personally conquered it. He's being unbearably smug about it. He did bring the sweets I wanted, so I suppose I won't duel him. Yet. Classes are going well. Professor Flitwick says my charm control is advanced for my age, which I think means I talk too much in lessons, but he's being polite. Something strange happened today, though. Don't worry, I'm fine. I sort of accidentally made a new spell. Not from a book, it just happened. Like my magic knew what to do before I did. It made a little shield out of light. Iris says it looked like woven gold. It didn't hurt. It felt warm, like home. Is that normal? Please don't tell James. He's across the room right now and already tried to fight Sirius over a chess bishop. If he knew I invented another spell, he'd follow me around like a bodyguard. I miss you both loads. Tell Dad I'm still beating everyone at wizard chess, and tell Mum the greenhouse smells like the garden at home. Love always, Hayley. P.S. James still snores, even louder now, apparently. Iris agrees. She folded the letter with a small smile. Behind her, however, Sirius yelled. Mooney, tell him he chatted. I did not cheat. You absolutely cheated. Hayley snorted as Iris leaned over. Did you tell them about the spell? Maybe. Brave. Or doomed. They giggled quietly, while across the room James yelled. Who took my fudge? Sirius, I swear. The common room erupted again, and somehow, even with all the noise, Hayley felt warm all the way through.